Well, hello there, and welcome, folks, to another episode of 162 Times, your daily baseball recap and preview show. I'm your host, Daniel Turner. It's great to be back with you. We have been on a long hiatus. We did our last program at the end of the 2024 regular season of Major League Baseball. Seattle ended up winning that final game against the Oakland Athletics and then not making the playoffs that year. 2025, it's been a very bizarre year. Lots of stuff has happened, and we decided to take a step back from doing the podcast. We did not particularly enjoy the way the country of Canada was being treated by the United States, particularly by the President of the United States. And as such, didn't feel that it was right to be doing a podcast about an American team. Didn't mean I didn't stop cheering for the Mariners. Didn't mean I didn't stop watching the Mariners or caring about the Mariners. And eventually I kind of realized, well, why the heck did I stop doing it? It's not like I'm contributing in any way to the harm that's coming to my country because I'm doing a podcast. Anyway, then the whole season passed by. So, long and the short of it is, there was a hiatus. Now I feel like I want to get back to doing the show, and I hope that you'll be listening along. It's also hilarious because I chose to do a 162 episode podcast of every single day of the Mariners in 2024, and they had one of the most disappointing seasons ever. Like the best starting pitchers rotation and not make the playoffs, strike out so many times. It was brutal. I mean, it was great doing the show. There were some high moments, don't get me wrong, but overall it wasn't great. 2025 has been a dream season for the Seattle Mariners. They made the playoffs. They have advanced as far as the American League Championship Series. They took a 2-0 lead in the American Championship Series. It's now 2-1, and the next game in said series gets underway in just about an hour and a half. So this is an ideal time to recap and preview. But it is hilarious to me that the season I didn't do it, Cal Raleigh hit 60 home runs as a catcher. You know, the Mariners win the division, finally beat the Houston Astros. All these things happen, and I wasn't covering the events. But I'm going to get back to covering the events, and I want to speak to the season that the Mariners had first and foremost. As I mentioned, they won their division over the hated Houston Astros. They finished 90-72 with a 5.56 winning percentage. They had a run differential of plus 72. They were great at home, 51-30, less good on the road, 39-42. And they were 47-43 against teams who were above 500. That won them the division by 3 games over the Astros, who finished 87-75 and out of the playoffs. In the American League, it was the Cleveland Guardians who won the Central, going like 15-16 down the stretch to just nip the Tigers, who fell off dramatically despite being one of the best teams in the American League most of the year. But both those teams made the playoffs, the Tigers in the wild card, the Cleveland Guardians as the division winners. The American League East, the Hogs, they were well represented in the American League playoff picture. The Jays won the division, 94-68, but they had a tiebreaker over the Yankees, who also finished 94-68. So the Jays were the 1 seed in the American League. The Yankees were the 4 seed as the top wild card. They ended up playing the Boston Red Sox, who were the 2nd seeded wild card. Yankees beat the Red Sox in that wild card series 2-1. Then went to Toronto for the divisional series, where the Jays beat them 3-1. The Mariners also got a first-round bye, having clinched the 2nd seed in the American League. Cleveland had to therefore play Detroit, the 3rd wildcard seed, and Detroit won that series. I believe it was 2-0. So it pitted the Detroit Tigers against the Seattle Mariners in the other American League divisional series. And that ended up going 5 games. It was single to right by Jorge Polanco in the bottom of the 15th inning, if you can believe it. A lot of demons were exercised that night. But the big one still remains, and the big one is, can the Mariners get to and then win their first ever Wild Card Series? World Series, obviously World Series. They won a few Wild Card Series in their time, but never made it to a World Series, the only professional baseball organization in existence to not have made the championship game. Now, they will face the winner of the National League and whoever makes the World Series from the American League. Let me be very clear about that. Nobody has made the World Series yet. But in the National League, the Phillies won the NL East, the Brewers won the NL Central, and the Dodgers won the NL West. In the Wild Card Series, the Dodgers ended up playing the low wild card team, the Reds, and they swept them in 2. The Cubs squared off against the Padres and managed to beat them 2-1. The Cubs then played the Milwaukee Brewers, who had a bye, and lost that series 3-2, the Brewers advancing in the final game of that series. The Phils had to play the Dodgers, and the Dodgers beat them handily. In fact, it was an error by Oren Kirkering on a very bizarre play where he had a comebacker right at him, and he had 2 outs, so he could just turn and gone to first and ended the inning. But for some reason, his brain shut down. Poor guy. And he threw it over the catcher's head, who would have had to make a hell of a play to tag out the runner coming down from third anyway. So the Dodgers advanced in that fashion, but they were probably going to win the series anyway. So now it's the Dodgers against the Brewers, and the Dodgers are up 2-0, and they're playing their third game tonight. So the Dodgers can take a 3-0 stranglehold with a win. And frankly, looking at it, I think the Dodgers are going to make the World Series and play either the winner of the Toronto Blue Jays, versus the Seattle Mariners series, which Game 4 of said series starts tonight. But before we get to that, we'll just quickly recap the action thus far in the American League Championship Series. So very exciting. The Blue Jays in their first American League Championship Series since 2016. Those good teams with Edwin and Jose Bautista, Josh Donaldson, and others against the boys in the Northwest Green, the beauties from Seattle, who have never made a World Series, as I've mentioned several times, and have not been to an American League Championship Series since 2001, which was, of course, the year that Ichiro Suzuki came over from Japan and took the league by storm, and with the help of guys like Edgar Martinez, current Mariners manager Dan Wilson, Brett Boone, John Olerud, and others, put up an incredible record-setting 116-win season in 2001. Still ridiculous that they won that many games. They made their way through Cleveland in the divisional series that year and then faced the hated and dreaded New York Yankees in the ALCS. And 11-year-old Daniel Turner, host of this podcast, remembers well being rather tearful that Freddie Garcia, his favorite pitcher, wasn't able to emerge with a win in Game 6. And the Yankees ended up taking that series 4-2. Very disappointing. So it's been 24 years since then. I'm now almost 35 years old. And the Mariners are back in the American League Championship Series. And not only are they back, but they have a 2-1 lead. Now, before we get too excited, I have to note that last night, the Blue Jays in Seattle put the hammer down and defeated rousingly the Mariners. I believe it was a 12-3 final. George Kirby got the start. He got banged around. Shane Bieber started for Toronto, and after a first-inning 2-run shot that he gave up to Julio Rodriguez, he settled in devastatingly, shut the Mariners down. And despite back-to-back jacks from Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena late in the game to bring it a bit closer, the Jays ran away with that one. And their fans are saying, "We're so back," and stuff like that. And that's fine. It's going to be a tough series. The Jays are a good ball club. But the Mariners won the first 2 in Toronto. Nobody saw that coming. First game, unbelievable game. 3-1 final for the M's. It was Big Tech's Bryce Miller pitching on short rest for the first time. His last 5 starts, he hadn't gone more than 5 2/3. His stats were all over the place. Now in 2014, he was elite. 12-8, 2.94 ERA, whip under 1. Give me a break. And first pitch of the American League Championship Series to the Blue Jays in the bottom of the first. He put a heater, middle outside. George Springer smacked it over the right field wall for a 1-0 lead. I was freaking out internally. 1 pitch, 1 run. Oh my goodness. He walked the next 2 guys. Cal came out for a mound visit, settled him down, and then he went 6 strong. Didn't give up another hit after the second inning. The Jays only had 2 hits on the night. The Mariners managed to claw one back with a Cal Raleigh big dump, his 62nd homer of the year. An absolute no-doubter to right field from his power side, the left side. And then Jorge Polanco doubled in a run to give them a 2-1 lead, and later in the game, smacked a single past the second baseman into right field, scoring another run to make it a 3-1 final. All in all, just an absolute beautiful game. Matt Brash, Gabe Spire, and Andres Munoz pitched the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. 8 pitches each. That's it. Totally reset the bullpen, who were tired after a devastating, or a long, shouldn't say devastating, it was fantastic, a long and grueling 15-inning final game of a 5-game series against the Tigers. And the Tigers were tough, and they played them tough the whole way through. So the Mariners really did well to beat the Tigers and get into Toronto and then win that first game. Then in Game 2, the Mariners won something like 10-3. It was a bit of a home run fest. Local Mississauga native Josh Naylor, trade deadline acquisition by the Mariners, has been super impactful. Aura for days. Really cool guy. Great first baseman. He hit a 2-run homer late. Polanco smacked a 3-run dinger to make it 6-3 earlier in the game. And the game had been started off well for the Mariners with a 3-run homer from Julio in the first inning. The Jays got it back. They got a couple runs back on by way of Nathan Lucas scoring, Springer on an error, and then Alejandro Kirk, their diminutive and portly catcher, who's a very good baseball player who everybody likes, and I have a hard time not liking, also singled in a run. Nathan Lucas got another run in, so it was 3-3. The building was back in it, blah, blah, blah. Polanco comes up with 2 men on because they decided to intentionally walk Cal, and he roped like a perfect, short, powerful swing, drove it right 405 feet into center, just got over the wall. Boom. They added another one on a JP Bloop single, and then there was a sacrifice fly later in the game to make it 10-3, and that was the final. So 3-1, 10-3, 12-5, or 12-4 last night. And so tonight we have Game 4 of the American League Championship Series coming to you from T-Mobile Park in Seattle, Washington, 8:33 game time Eastern, 5:33 on the West Coast. This is October 16th, 2025. It's currently 7:13 p.m. I'm in Ottawa. I'm fired up. It's going to be a great matchup. Luis "The Rock" Castillo will go for the Mariners, the right-hander. He's 1-0 in the playoffs with a 0 ERA and 4 Ks. He's going to go up against the legend, the future Hall of Famer, Max Scherzer. He of the different colored eyes. He has not started yet in the playoffs. This will be his first start. Castillo's been awesome. He came in relief in that 15-inning marathon against the Tigers. He also pitched well, didn't get a decision earlier in that series. No, pardon me, I think his win came earlier in that series. We're not going back. This show doesn't do that. I explained a very bizarre hiatus in like 3 minutes, and it was kind of rambly. We're sticking to ball. So we have the lineups. We have the pitching matchups. Castillo will pitch second. Scherzer will go out there, and he will face Randy Arozarena leading off and playing left. Cal Raleigh catching, batting second. Julio Rodriguez playing center, batting third. Jorge Polanco DHing in the cleanup spot. Josh Naylor at first, batting fifth. Eugenio Suarez, also reacquired at the deadline from the Diamondbacks, will play third and bat sixth for the Mariners. Dominic Canzone slots into right field, a start in right for him for the first time in the American League Championship Series. He will bat 7th. J.P. Crawford moves up one spot in the order. He's been batting 9th a lot lately. He'll play short and bat 8th. And Leo Rivas, who had a huge clutch pinch hit, base hit on his 28th birthday in that 15-inning marathon to tie the game late and send it to extras, will play 2nd and bat 9th. That means Victor Robles, who'd been batting 8th and playing right for the start of this series, will be on the bench. Does not appear that he is hurt. He hasn't been batting that well. That's probably why he's out of the game. They want Canzone's lefty bat in the lineup against Scherzer. Scherzer will then cede the mound to Castillo after that first inning is over. And Castillo will have to face George Springer, who's DHing and leading off. Nathan Lucas, outstanding young player for the Blue Jays. He'll be in left field batting 2nd. Then Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who finally broke out last night and had at least a double and a homer against Seattle in Seattle, will play 1st and bat 3rd. Alejandro Kirk will bat cleanup and catch. Dalton Varsho will be in center batting 5th. Ernie Clement will play 3rd and bat 6th. Addison Barger, a Bellevue, Washington native, will play right field. He also hit a home run last night and bat 7th. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa will start the game at 2nd batting 8th. And Andres Jimenez, who started the Jays rally last night with a 2-run homer from the 9-hole in the order, which is rare, will again bat 9th and play shortstop. So that's how it's going to go. Lord knows we want a win for the Mariners that would put them up 3-1. They've never had 3 wins in an American League Championship Series. But we hope that they'll be able to do it. Game 5 will also go from Seattle. Then they'll be back to Toronto for 6 and 7 if they're necessary. Obviously, Seattle wins tonight. They win Game 5. They would be in a position to advance to the World Series in that situation. We're not taking anything for granted here, folks. This has been a good series. Game 1 was close. Game 2 wasn't. Game 3 wasn't. Who knows what tonight will bring? The atmosphere will be electric. Manager Dan Wilson and hitting coach or senior hitting advisor Edgar Martinez will have him locked in. And I'm hoping for a really good outing by The Rock. He's looked good so far this playoffs. I think he's going to do well. So please join me in an hour or so watching this great game. Enjoy the game of baseball. Cheer for the M's. And we'll catch you tomorrow with a recap and a preview of Game 5. All the best.